let me start with this. Yesterday, I got a chance to co-host the Dan Patrick Show on Fox Sports Radio. And somewhere in our conversation, I got into this back and forth with Jason McIntyre over Deshaun Watson. And if a quarterback will help them do that, that's the quarterback that they want. And they had their reasons behind passing on Deshaun Watson was they didn't like his decision-making in the red zone, and they thought his knee, based upon their medical, would tear again. His knee did, in fact, tear again. And, oh, yeah, by the way, like Deshaun Watson has almost the exact same record. There's almost the exact same record with the Houston Texans since he got there, as opposed to the 4 years before he got there, including 1-2 in the playoffs. Before he got there, 1-2 in the 4 years before he got there, 1-2 in the playoffs since he's been there, and the regular season records are essentially identical. It's amazing. Look, they missed on Pat Mahomes.
Am I going to have to get upset? Was that Deshaun Watson slander I heard or no?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's Deshaun Watson slander. If you consider slander actual indisputable facts,
quarterback
that's not
records,
slander.
That's a stat now, Doug. Come on, listen.
It's always
Bill
been a stat.
O'Brien. Totally,
it's always been a stat.
Royally, yeah, it's an irrelevant stat. Quarterback records. Come on, some jabronis were popping the stat.
What are you talking about? It's the whole stat that matters.
Yeah,
this is the whole stat that matters.
Oh
okay, so Matt Stafford is an all-time great quarterback.
How many guys start in the NFL? 11 on offense, 11 defense, but the quarterback record matters.
Yes.
Come on. That's juvenile stuff, Doug. You're way better than quarterback records. That's like saying, Mr. Trubisky has more wins in his last 3 years than Deshaun Watson. He's a better quarterback. Or he's almost on the same level. Not even close. Stop. Okay? Deshaun Watson is surrounded by ineptitude. Bill O'Brien tore that roster to shreds.
No, he's not.
Oh, my God. Deshaun Watson should go in. I said he should have gone into that front office and said, get me the hell out of here or get me some help. This is a joke.
Wait a second. They did get him some help.
Oh my!
What they did was they traded their future for a left tackle. Okay, the idea he doesn't.
They traded Hopkins for a running back who's a joke. Okay, that J.J. Watt rant. Go listen to that. Who do you think that's about? Like the entire Texans roster? Okay, there was an SI piece about this guy Jack Easterby
wait a second.
who helped tear that whole thing down. Watson is a great quararback surrounded by jokers.
He's not surrounded by jokers.
Oh my gosh!
They won the exact same amount of games before he got there when Bill O'Brien was there with Rick Smits, who was a terrible general manager, as they did in the last 4 years. They just have. Okay, so you can tell me that Bill O'Brien did everything to tear it down this year. He had DeAndre Hopkins in previous years with the worst division in football.
You do realize they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL this season. Again.
I absolutely do. Well,
is that,
first of all,
we're
where does
blaming
that
Deshaun
money?
Watson for letting Brandon Allen throw for 400 yards last week? Brandon Allen, who served me DoorDash 3 weeks ago at my front door, is now throwing for 400 yards against the Houston Texans defense because it's a joke. J.J. Watt lit up that locker room because nobody cares.
Did.
Nobody cares. It's a terrible roster. To blame Deshaun Watson is unfair, Doug.
Well, I didn't. First of all, I hate when you do this. This is what you do. I really dislike when you do this, okay? You take a statement and then you make it into something that it is not. I didn't say Mitch Trubisky is better than him, so don't say that I did. Don't say that I said I put all the blame on Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day, in sports, okay, when you're a point guard, all that matters is your record. When you're a quarterback, all that matters is your record. And my point is not that I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. I am. My point is not that Deshaun Watson stinks. He doesn't. But based upon the amount of money he makes and the perception of who he is, I know he's overrated. Because if I say, well, he's a top 5 quarterback, well, okay, where is the proof of that in regards to wins and losses? Do you put every win and every loss at the feet of the quarterback? Absolutely not. But if we're going to be critical of the Matt Staffords of the world for the numbers he puts up, despite the paucity of wins and playoff wins with Detroit, if we're critical of any other quarterback who the team doesn't win under, well, then at the end of the day, wins and losses is a quarterback stat. Not totally fair. They don't own every loss, but it's a general sense that you get. And let's also remember that Deshaun Watson has been helped out during his career by playing for what I think everyone agrees is a very good offensive coach. Now, Bill O'Brien is not the easiest guy to deal with. Bill O'Brien was not the greatest GM in the history of the sport. Bill O'Brien lost his job because of his ego, right? And you're going to sit there and go like, hey, man, you know, Deshaun Watson, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's having a great year. Okay. The year got off to a terrible start when they lost their first 4 games. And those first 4 games were against the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, Minnesota Vikings. Right? Their wins this year over Jacksonville twice, Detroit, and New England. Those are 4 of the worst teams in the league. They are not good football teams. And while there's not any question that they played far and away the most difficult schedule in the league. Think about this. This is their opening schedule. Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Tennessee, Green Bay, Jacksonville worked in the middle there. Like, think about it. Those are all either playoff teams or playoff hopefuls. Minnesota is the one team that jumps out. You're like, yeah, they're not as good as, okay. And they didn't beat any of the good teams. Literally didn't beat any of the good teams. If you look at the Houston Texans record before he got there, 28-31, 1-2 in the playoffs in the 4 years that preceded when he got there, it's virtually identical to the record since he's been there. Now, does that mean he's a terrible quarterback? No. Does that mean he's a good quarterback? Yeah, I think anybody can see he's a good. Is he a great quarterback? Here's what we do when there's guys that we like, right? Here's what we do when there's guys that we like. When we like them, we like everything about the personality. And I like Deshaun Watson. We get lost in trying to be critical of things that we don't like. We like the story, but all of a sudden any sort of analysis. So a Houston radio personality, called me out and said, I'm one of the stupidest humans on earth. Is that right? Yeah, that's what it said. Because the Texans are a poorly run franchise. And if I don't believe he's a top 10 quarterback, then I'm one of the stupidest humans alive for that take. The first thing is, and this is important, that if you have takes that, what's this guy named? Adam Clanton. The Houston Texans are one of the most poorly run organizations in all of sports for a number of reasons. That said, Gottlieb Show is literally one of the dumbest humans on the planet for this. If anything, Deshaun Watson is underrated after the ungodly numbers he put up. Well, maybe it's a Houston thing. Maybe that's what it is, right? Maybe it's a Houston thing where James Harden is the greatest player ever. Or Russell Westbrook, who averaged a triple-double 3 years in a row in Oklahoma City, it's numbers that make you under. Because where I come from, which is planet Earth, United States of America, you keep score because the only stat really that matters is, did you win or did you lose? Did you win or did you lose? Now, the individual stats of a football game or a basketball game or a baseball game are important because it can paint a more accurate, layered context where you could say like, well, hey, Deshaun Watson played pretty well. The team clearly did not. But as poorly run as they were, they made the playoffs most years. With him, without him, they made the playoffs the same number of times, in the same number of years. That really happened. So they're terribly run. And oh yeah, by the way, they went in and overpaid, I'm sure, for Laramie Tunsil. It's a star left tackle. And if you didn't like the DeAndre Hopkins trade, I didn't think they got enough. But do you think that Bill O'Brien didn't shop the trade? Like, do you think he didn't try and get more out of DeAndre Hopkins? And oh yeah, by the way, what he got in return, I'll grant you, David Johnson is almost never healthy. But when he's healthy, like last weekend, it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Bill O'Brien's biggest errors were in ego, but not in desire to, like Brandon Cooks, when healthy, can really play. He played during those first 5-6 games of the season. David Johnson, when healthy, can really play. Don't believe me? Look what he did last weekend. So he played for a quarterback-friendly coach and a quarterback-friendly offense. They did everything to support him. And if there are any errors they made, it was only in trying to build a better franchise to free up money to pay Deshaun Watson, to pay Laramie Tunsil, to support their star quarterback. That doesn't make those mistakes okay. But the idea that all of these other quarterbacks are succeeding, their franchises must be better run, is kind of laughable. Look, I'm not saying he's not Michael Jordan. He's, to this point, he's more Dominique Wilkins. Great numbers, looks the part, acts the part, feels like the part, but there's something missing in the wins and losses. Whether it's leadership or the fact that he holds on the football too long, which has long been a problem in Houston, which is he's got some of the same hero ball complex. He's actually more like Ben Roethlisberger than you think. It doesn't mean he stinks as a quarterback, but to call me names and to say that I'm an idiot when I know what I'm talking about. I've talked to enough NFL people to kind of work through this take and think, it's like the Kansas City, they're up 24-0 the Kansas City Chiefs last year, and they lose. And Bill O'Brien got every bit of the deserved criticism for his team giving away a 24-0 lead on the road against the Chiefs. But you know what else? And this is really important. No one was ever critical of Deshaun Watson. And the last I checked in football, every time somebody else scores, you get the ball back. You got 24 early in the second quarter, and you score one more touchdown against a defense, which is a defense that should have been gassed, by the way, based upon the number of times that they were on the football field. So I love the criticism when it becomes personal, because when it becomes personal, it only shows that you don't actually listen to the take. The quarterback position is not solely represented in terms of success in wins and losses, but it is absolutely a quarterback stat, because you are a winner or a loser at the end of the day, right? A winner or a loser at the end of the day. And you look at all these other quarterbacks, all of them. Name the quarterback. And if they didn't have a Hall of Fame worthy top 5 quarterback as compared to when they did, they're all successful. I mean, I can't look at the 4 NFC teams that have qualified for the playoffs. I don't think Drew Brees is nearly what he used to be. His team's in. And I don't think Tom Brady's nearly what he used to be. His team's in. Aaron Rodgers is better than he's ever been. His team's in. Right? How is it that the only quarterback whose team is wildly underperforming receives no criticism? Again, doesn't mean he's the sole problem. Doesn't mean even he's the biggest part of the problem. But there is something missing there when he's putting up empty stats and no one outside of me is pointing it out. That's really what this is about. If we want to be fair about all quarterbacks, if we want to be fair about all coaches, then we have to strip off the names and just go based upon the blind resume and what they're actually doing.